Hello students and welcome back. I am Professor Caster and thank you for returning for one of our short courses that breaks down the larger courses into more bite-sized chunks so they're a little bit more accessible instead of trying to go through the war of an entire section. Also, I do apologize that the quality of the sound is a little off from how the intro and outro sound. Those were actually recorded before this setup actually got created, so it should be a little bit quieter, but other than that, it should be alright.
Kommander Sorscha. When a teary-eyed Sorscha Kratikov looked into her father's face at the age of 13 winters and asked to be a soldier like him, he just smiled, stroked her black hair, and strode out the door to join his unit. Later that month, her mother received word of a massacre at Boar's Gate. Sorscha's father lay among the dead, killed by Orzus Zaktever, the butcher of Khador. 2 years later, Sorscha lied about her age and joined the Winter Guard. She fought against all odds and excelled as a soldier, surviving the rigors and mayhem of war, fueled by the image of her father's bloody end. Sorscha served 3 consecutive tours of duty with the prestigious border garrison of Ravensguard and participated in frequent bloody conflicts with Lael mercenaries and her Signaran counterparts. She demonstrated considerable natural tactical prowess and was chosen for officer training at the Druzhnia in Kursk before returning to her men as a lieutenant. She advanced quickly through the ranks to captain and kovnik. The Warcaster named Turizvik valued her opinion above those of his other officers and chose her to serve as an aide. Perhaps some part of her felt an affinity with armored machines even before she demonstrated her gift for warcasting. Sorscha had already shown hints of inborn sorcery, but had kept them to herself. First, she has been raised in the rural borders area, where those powers prompted superstition and dread. Her true potential surfaced during the conflict near the Ordic border, where Turizvik was slain in an ambush, and his jack suddenly fell dormant. In desperation, Sorscha charged unescorted into combat. She cut men down like stalks of grain, but her troops were demolished, and she found herself far outnumbered. One foe sliced her thigh and she fell. Suddenly the world froze. Everything around her, including her enemies, stood encased in a layer of ice and frost. Leaning against one of the nearby juggernauts, she found herself able to reach into its mind. She reactivated its cortex by mimicking an arcane sequence her untrained vision had perceived from her commander. Sent forth at her bidding, the warjack charged into her adversaries. Days later, Sorscha Kratikov was presented to the High Command in her Queen Kursk. Her new talents were quickly put to the test, and it was decided that she would receive training in controlling her sorcery and warcaster ability from the dynamic and gifted Umbrian prince Vladimir Tepesky, who had earned a reputation as a peerless tutor in the arts. In her years of study with the nobleman, she fell in love. She saw in him ancient nobility, a deep sense of duty and devotion to the memory of his ancestors. This began an off-and-on romance that had a profound effect on both warcasters. Both have always known their romantic relationship to be doomed given the gulf of their status and the roles in the military, yet this has not diminished their feelings for one another. When they are apart, Sorscha often becomes emotionless and aloof, pouring her strength and concentration into the task at hand. Those who see her at these times would never suspect an Andor lingering beneath the iron discipline and unfaltering dedication as the model Khador soldier and officer. Only the infrequent presence of the Dark Prince Vladimir can thaw Sorscha's soul, but for a moment. Icy resolve and loyalty to the motherland. She was once heard to say, "These are what make good soldiers, not warmth and comfort." Despite these words, there seems little doubt her fate is tied to Tepesky by a cord that will not easily be broken. I've had lots of experience with Kommander Sorscha. Honestly, she was one of the first warcasters I was actually accompanied with when I was in the field. When they say she freezes everything around her, they are not kidding. She literally freezes them to the spot, like they just turn into icicles in a second. She's also has that fog ability we talked about earlier, which any protection from enemy gunfire, always useful for me. Also, she was actually presented with her magical hammer, which I don't know if you ever hit something frozen with a hammer, but if she runs up to a warjack or a soldier and hits them while they're frozen, they literally just break into pieces. It is remarkable and disturbing. But being around her is definitely cold. Even if you're in a warm climate, it's going to be cold. Also, how'd the archives figure out her relationship with Tedeschi? I suppose those guys just follow people everywhere, whether they know it or not.
Alrighty, students. Well, that does it for this short course. And as always, thank you, Privateer Press, for letting us read your fantastic lore. And as always, your homework is going to be, please like, subscribe, comment, let me know how I'm doing, and share it with your friends and fellow gamers alike so we can increase the class size. And as always, class dismissed.